up guys, Vangolta here and welcome back to another video. So you see, critics and fans rarely agree. Yes, I'm going to be using this voice for the rest of the video, for no logical reason whatsoever. This is usually because of one or two reasons particularly. Critics are far more trained in their ability to assess and critique, allowing them to peer deeper into the framework of a story. And because of their honest assessment of a certain movie, TV show, video game, or otherwise, they conclude that the fans are incorrect in saying that it's good, or correct in saying that it's bad. That is, if that is their conclusion. The second reason, I'll be honest, is far more embarrassing. Being public critics, they are constantly pressured to say the right things and correctly rate the things that they say need to be rated. And I don't need to baby you here, both of us know the correct that I'm talking about.
The message!
In other words, there is a limited amount of things you're allowed to say, and if you say anything you're not allowed to, or if you don't say the right things, you may get a 56% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Just keep this in mind as I ramble. I was never really a huge Mario fan. I never had much of the 3D Mario games, not even Mario 64, which many look back upon with fondness. But naturally, I respected it as one of the first and best pixel platformers of another era, a necessary stepping stone to future games. Plus, Nintendo has some pretty fun 3D platformers too, I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, then there were those campy Super Mario Bros. Cartoons that I had as a kid. Honestly, those weren't bad, but I just viewed Sonic as better in every way. Even before the live action Sonic movie came out, the Blue Hedgehog had already gotten a better run than Mario as far as TV shows were concerned. Get it? Run? Because Sonic's fast? Moving on. So when Nintendo dropped the trailer for the Super Mario Bros. Movie in collaboration with Illumination, I was puzzled. To say that Mario isn't as relevant now as he used to be would be an understatement. Mario makes 2 appearances in the World of Video Game Hall of Fame, once in Donkey Kong and once in his debut game, Super Mario Bros. Technically that isn't his debut game, but it's what he's most known for. That's all incredibly nostalgic, but this was all 30-40 years ago. Mario was old and his games were only on one platform, Nintendo. You wanted to play Mario, you had to play by Nintendo's rules. Of course, as a lot of movie buffs will tell you, Super Mario Bros. Has famously had an awful run when it comes to adaptations. Super Mario Bros., the 1993 movie, is a bona fide piece of crap, and would set an incredibly low bar that video game adaptations would continue to fail to live up to. From Street Fighter to Resident Evil, Hollywood continued to excrete disaster after disaster until no one cared about video games becoming movies. We basically have Super Mario Bros. And Resident Evil to thank for the fact that video game adaptations to the big screen have a terrible reputation. I say all this to say that when I watched the Super Mario Bros. 2023 movie, I was actually surprised. Not the kind of blown away by an incredible masterpiece surprise, just surprised. It's not Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but very nostalgic and fun for the whole family. On its own, it would have been a slightly above average acceptable animated movie, but the fact that it stars the Mario Brothers does wonders for it. If you're on the fence about watching it, I'd say go for it. But what of the Rotten Tomatoes conundrum I mentioned earlier in the video? If critics are to be believed, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is a flop with only a 56% freshness score. Sounds pretty dire, especially for an animated movie released in 2023. Yet the movie made $377.6 million over the weekend. May I ask, how? I got my answer when I watched the movie covers to credits. It's a charming, unassuming, playful romp with characters you'll enjoy seeing in action with plenty of nostalgic throwbacks and colorful battle scenes that everyone will enjoy. There's a small but significant believe in yourself underlying theme that serves to give the movie some meaning. Plus, it's Mario. It's Mario. The movie is just so fun. It's so utterly dedicated to being the most fun movie possible, and it's not trying to be anything else. And now, we've arrived here at our problem. You remember when I said that official reviewers are basically only allowed to say the right things? Let's talk a second about what you're allowed to and what you're not allowed to say. This list not only extends to certain words and phrases, but also ideas as well, i.e. some ideas other than the right ideas may not be spoken in popular discourse. This goes for critics as well as any other public figurehead. Why do you think so many actors are politically driven nowadays? The ugly truth of modern media is that as a reviewer, you are not given total freedom, which is sad and shameful on its own, and if I'm honest, a really bad way to review products. But this nasty little coin has another side to it as well. That being, if a certain intellectual property does not ascribe to said right beliefs, then there's a chance of it being blackballed into oblivion. And I'm not even going to mention all the ways that they'll be held to pay if a piece of art dares go against the narrative. On the one hand, you have the fact that corporate critics are extremely partisan when it comes to political affairs. And on the other, you find that they are extremely hostile to anything that goes against the narrative. Now, normally this wouldn't be too much of a problem if only one or two media outlets did this. And the real problem is, say it with me folks, is that this is all over the place. Why does it seem like PC Gamer, Kotaku, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, every single media journalist outlet seems to be partisan in some way? This is not a political channel. This is a channel to talk about stories. However, if you see any modern media nowadays, you know that it's so politically driven that it's impossible to speak on the topic of stories without actually addressing the problem here. But what I'm trying to get at here is that there are two reasons why critics are biased. One, because the popular political spectrum leans heavily one way these days. And two, open the window, son, and peer outside because there's an angry mob out there. Whenever you make a move as a media journalist, you are being watched by potentially millions of people. There is a certain sect of people out there, and again, you know who I'm talking about, who certainly will not stand to listen to any viewpoints that differ from their own. Therefore, they make it their goal to bully, disrespect, and furthermore silence whoever disagrees with them. Because the political spectrum is very one-sided these days, and there's a angry mob waiting outside to attack anyone who disagrees, then I think you can realize why media journalists are so partisan nowadays. And finally, we arrive back at our initial problem. The Rotten Tomatoes Conundrum. You see, the Super Mario Bros. Movie has received universal acclaim except from critics. As of this recording, the Super Mario Bros. Movie has a 96% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, but only a 59% critic score. The movie also has a 4.6 review on Metacritic, but money talks louder than any review score, and the movie is set to earn over $1 billion. Obviously, this movie is a smash hit with audiences, so why don't critics like it as well? It is entirely possible that the critics looked on Super Mario with a critical eye and realized that it wasn't a particularly deep or profound movie, which, if I'm fair, I would have to give it to them, because the Super Mario Bros. Movie is not a deep or profound movie, it is just completely fun. However, not every movie has to be Lord of the Rings, and not every TV show has to be Breaking Bad. Part of the weight of a piece of media comes from what it's promising to be versus what it actually delivers. In other words, if a movie is trying to be Lord of the Rings and that movie is Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, then, I think that one speaks for itself. But if the movie promises to be Lord of the Rings and turns out to be something like Teen Knight, then there's a reason why you don't know about Teen Knight. This is a problem with a lot of media. A lot of media is overambitious and promises to give you everything. Of course, that is not the only criteria by which a movie should be judged, but you cannot judge a Ferrari for the fact that it's not a Lamborghini. You assess the Ferrari as a Ferrari, and the Lamborghini doesn't ever come into the picture, or at least it shouldn't. So that is only one reason why reviewers are being stupid about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The second alternative, however, I think might be a little bit more likely depending on how you think. But then again, it's the same reason why Hogwarts Legacy wasn't given a fair shake except by independent reviewers. Same deal with stuff like The Terminal List. Ghostbusters 2016 was rated way higher than it deserved by critics. I could go on. There have been many cases in which we've seen a critic's audience divide, but in this case, it's a little bit different. We live in an America that really only has one popular political spectrum, and that is you go along with the mob or you get bullied by them. No one wants to get bullied by the mob, so shut up and say the right things if you want to keep your job. This is all to say, when a movie doesn't go the way the mob wants it, when a movie doesn't politically say the right things or wisely chooses to say nothing about politics at all, when a movie dares to be something other than the mindless, tasteless garbage that is modern Hollywood, when a movie tries to be fun and nothing more, the critics are up in arms about it. Are we really that surprised? Media journalists nowadays are incredibly partisan, well nigh under the point of being a weapon of the mob. So when a movie like Super Mario Bros. Comes to the screen and is not made to make a point or be brave in any way, but is simply created to entertain, media journalists can't help but be really pissed about it. Hence the bad review score of an otherwise good movie. In conclusion, I will say that critics are being really stupid about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, whether by the fact that they literally don't understand that Super Mario Bros. Movie is not trying to be a critical masterpiece, or that it's just trying to be a fun, harmless movie. The critics are once again up in arms about nothing. But it's actually kind of sad now that I'm thinking about it. Super Mario Bros. Is a breakthrough in how we view video game adaptations. The Mario movie did not divide any fan bases like The Last of Us 2 did. The Mario movie did not crush any hopes like the Halo TV show did. It was simply a movie intended to entertain, and that it did very well. And so, this is one of the dumbest things that critics can be doing. But I think it might be better to look at the bright side. We can always just ignore the critics and watch the movie ourselves. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to help me out by dropping a like and a comment in the comment section down below. And if you like what you see and you like to see more of what you like to see, then smash that subscribe button and turn notifications on so that you don't miss another video like this one. I make videos I want to make, and occasionally that includes something you want to watch. But in any case, I remain Van Galta, and I'll see you in the next video.